Well, my buddies, if you will, over at activistpost.com have a quite interesting article I'd love to read you. And since I have Mr. Eric's permission to do so, I'm going to read it. New Hampshire bill would require courts to inform juries of their right to nullify or jury nullification. And that is something that I've noticed recently. I may have even sent it to myself. I don't know. I think I was almost getting ready to do this video and I just decided not to, like 2 days ago, which is interesting because that's exactly when this thing was posted, but it was different. And it was, I think it was a New Hampshire man or, no, this is New Hampshire, sorry. Maybe that's why it's in my mind. Wherever this was, it was in the U.S., and a man was standing on a public sidewalk in front of the court handing out basically jurors' rights. If you ever become a juror, here's your rights, and you have the right to nullify the decision, basically, or what the law says. So let's say, a man's charged with murdering someone that broke into his house. And he's saying, I was fearful of my life. They want to charge him. No, you shouldn't have killed the guy. He didn't have a weapon. But he broke into my house in the middle of the night. I couldn't see. Sorry, we're charging you with murder. And the prosecution makes a good case of why you should be charged. And as a matter of fact, you're left sitting there saying, if I believe in the law right now, this man should be charged, and you're a juror. Jury nullification would be you saying, I have a conscience. This man does not deserve to die or be charged and potentially die from, going for the death penalty, nor even the being locked up. He was protecting his family. This is bullcrap. I'm going to say no, not guilty. Even though the law is telling me right now, the law says he should be guilty. I'm going to nullify it. That's what jury nullification is. So in this other case, the judge found out this guy standing out there, orders him to come inside the courtroom. He doesn't want to go. The deputy that came out or whatever to talk to him said, if you don't come, they're going to have you arrested. Fearing arrest, I'm going to go inside and talk to the judge. Judge told him, what are you doing? I'm handing out these pamphlets informing people of their right to jury nullification. That's tampering with a juror. Arrest him, bailiff. Sent him to jail. He had to pay $15,000 bail. So that was $150,000 bail. $15,000 to get out. And, of course, the court is saying, nope, we think you were tampering with jurors. He said, I'm not tampering with somebody I don't know who's a juror. They're just people walking down the street. Whether they're going into the courtroom that day or not is beyond me. I'm just letting people know what their rights are. And I'm on a public sidewalk just handing it out to the public. Not targeting jurors because I don't know that there's jurors. I don't know who are and who aren't. And the court tries to argue about the definition of a juror. And they're trying to use all this, find the little tweaks and bend the law and bend what this judge said a while back and determine that a person who has been selected for potential jury duty, so 500 people come into court today and only 12 of them are going to be picked out of all of them, or 9, or whatever the hell it is. Those 500 are potential tampering with jurors. And the argument's, no, they haven't been sworn in yet, so they can't be jurors. But the point was, why does this guy have to spend $15,000 to bail himself out? He now has a criminal record because of it. He now has to fight it. The court that he's fighting has found him guilty. So naturally he has to file an appeal to a different court who now has to see the case. Who the hell wants to deal with that? And why should you? This guy was not doing anything wrong. So when I saw this article from Activist Post, New Hampshire bill would require courts to inform juries of their right to nullify. Would essentially mean the court has to let the jury know, even though the law may say one thing, you do have a right to not go with the law and vote, not necessarily with your conscience, they probably won't say, but vote however you deem necessary. They have to at least inform them. So I really like this idea. So Michael Bolden from Activist Post, or I guess an author anyways from there, a bill pre-filed in the New Hampshire State House for 2017 would require state courts to fully inform jurors of their right to nullify. House Bill 133, or HB 133, would require courts to inform the jury of its right to judge the facts and the application of the law in relation to the facts in controversy. An unusually short and concise bill by modern standards, it reads in part, at the request of the defendant or the defendant's attorney, the court shall instruct the jury as follows, quote, if you have a reasonable doubt as to whether the state has proved any one or more of the elements of the crime charged, you must find the defendant not guilty. However, if you find that the state has proved all the elements of the offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. Even if you find that the state has proved all of the elements of the offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt, you may still find that based upon the facts of this case, a guilty verdict will yield an unjust result, and you may find the defendant not guilty. That is verbatim perfect. Absolutely perfect. I would love nothing more than to start hearing the courts in this country go down that path and let these people know, these sheeple. We go in there thinking we know, and the judge instructs them at the end, the judge said what the law was, and the law says, But if they said it to you in court, the court or the bailiff or whoever reads something out loud, at the end of that statement says that, you then sit back and say, oh, well, if I think it's unjust, I can find him not guilty. The guy killed a person breaking into his house. That was unarmed, but he didn't know. Like he said, he did not know he was unarmed. And even if he did, he was coming in at him. How does he know what he's going to do? This is baloney. I'm finding him not guilty. I don't know about you guys. I'm finding him not guilty. Yeah, we're going to do it too. The first Chief Justice, John Jay, stated the following to the first jury in Georgia versus Brailsford, the first Supreme Court trial held in the United States. It may not be amiss here, gentlemen, to remind you of the good old rule that on questions of fact, it is the province of the jury. On questions of law, it is the province of the court to decide. But it must be observed that the same law, which recognizes this responsible distribution of jurisdiction, you have nevertheless a right to take upon yourselves to judge of both, and to determine the law as well as the fact controversy. On this and on every other occasion, however, we have no doubt you will pay that respect which is due to the opinion of the court. For, as on the one hand, it is presumed that juries are the best judges of facts, it is, on the other hand, presumable that the courts are the best judges of law, but still both objects are lawfully within your power of decision. Thomas Jefferson also defended jury nullification. Imagine that. One of my favorite people in the world, of course long dead, wish he was around these days. I'd love to do a Jason at 4 video with him, side by side. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson also defended jury nullification, writing that, quote, if the question relates to any point of public liberty, or if it be one of those in which the judges may be suspected of bias, the jury undertake to decide both law and fact. If they be mistaken, a decision against right, which is casual only, is less dangerous to the state, as less afflicting to the loser, than one which makes part of a regular and uniform system, end quote. So there's a little more to the couple paragraphs more, but this is great. See, this is one of those videos, remember when I was telling you the other day, man, I'd like to start 2017 off where Trump, he absolutely wins. Good sign, he's already doing more good than any other president before him, and he's not even the president yet. I'd love to come out here and give you some good news. And yeah, we still got problems, national debt, etc. But this is one of those good stories. Of course, it's just a bill. It is not passed into law yet, and it may not. So doom may be back on for the people of New Hampshire. But if this does go through, this would be fantastic. This would be a step absolutely positively in the right direction. And if it's Trump that came in and started these steps or these processes and made everyone else say, okay, let's start making some changes, fantastic. Okay? Have a good weekend, my friends. Take care.